Driving a car without road rules would be chaos, right? We want drivers prioritising safety for everyone on the road. Using AI without ethical reasoning is the same. Capability without responsibility is dangerous. So ethical AI use means leading with care, integrity, and accountability. I often say to educators that anyone can prompt AI for a lesson plan, but it's only you as an educator with your experience and your expertise that you can prompt to get the responses to meet your context, your learners' needs. Welcome to Trailblazing Schools, the podcast for educational leaders at the intersection of leadership, complexity, and intelligent technology. I'm Trudy Graham. This is a space for leaders navigating uncharted territory. We explore strategic leadership, ethical innovation, and how AI can strengthen the deeply human work of education. Over the past year, when I begin workshops on AI, I often start by acknowledging something simple. There's fear in the room. It's not hysteria, but it's uncertainty. It's fear of the unknown. It's fear often shaped by media headlines. It's fear of potentially being replaced, and fear of getting it wrong. Fear usually shows up when something significant is shifting. It's not always a sign of danger. Sometimes it's a sign that we're standing at the edge of something new. And here's the part that matters. AI doesn't operate independently in schools. There's always a human in the driver's seat. The real question isn't whether to use AI, it's whether we build the capability to drive it well. Driving well, whether it's driving a car or AI, requires capability. You don't just sit behind the wheel and hope for the best. So with this in mind, I'd like to introduce my AI Competencies model. It's the cognitive and professional capabilities. It describes what an educator must be able to do to drive large language models well. It's made up of understanding AI models, crafting effective prompts, evaluating responses, and applying ethical reasoning. So let's start with the first competency. It's understanding AI models. I just believe it's essential that educators understand how large language models work, that they comprehend their limitations and understand why it makes the errors it does and responds in the way that it does. And I think it's really important that we understand that this technology is different to search engines and traditional software. I often draw the parallel to when Henry Ford invented the Model T. At that time, people were using horse and carriage as their mode of transport. And with the invention of the Model T, it was about understanding that this was fundamentally different. It wasn't that they needed a deep understanding of how the engine worked, but they did need to understand that they drove the Model T differently to how they would a horse and carriage. And I draw that parallel with modern technology and the developments with AI, and specifically large language models. They don't just calculate and retrieve information like we are familiar with traditional software and search engines. They act in very different ways. They generate, they adapt, and operate in ways that don't fit neatly into the mental models and experiences that we've had with computers and software until now. Across this podcast, you'll hear leaders navigating complexity with courage and clarity. If you'd like to see how that looks in practice, visit trailblazingschools.com/field notes. These field notes capture real stories from school leaders using AI as a thinking partner, strengthening leadership, not replacing it. It's free, practical, and designed to prompt your own next step. You'll find it at trailblazingschools.com/field notes. The second competency is crafting effective prompts. And this is how we communicate with the AI to produce quality responses. You don't just sit in a car and hope it goes somewhere useful. You steer, you adjust, you read the dashboard. In fact, the more precisely you steer, the better the journey. And I would, again, put that alongside using AI and the large language models. Prompting is that level of intentional control. You need to consider the commands that you're giving the large language models by describing your context and the constraints, perhaps giving the model a character or a persona to inform how it will respond, knowing the tools and features that are available within the models so that it maximizes its execution and response for you. I often say to educators that anyone can prompt AI for a lesson plan, but it's only you as an educator with your experience and your expertise that you can prompt to get the responses to meet your context, your learners' needs, the curriculum and pedagogy requirements in your school and your class. The third competency is evaluating AI responses. And here again, you bring your expertise and your experience to evaluate the model's responses. You have the autonomy and the responsibility for how you use the AI outputs. It's your professional judgment. And similarly with a car, if you were running a maintenance check on your car, you'd opt for an experienced mechanic over an amateur, right? The experienced mechanic sees what an amateur misses. And similarly, AI evaluation works the same way. The tool generates a response, and it's your professional judgment that assesses that response and decides whether it's appropriate for use or not. And I repeatedly say that the AI's response is the first draft. You will always edit the output in some way. And lastly, the fourth competency is applying ethical reasoning. So here you draw on your professional standards, your ethical codes of practice, the considerations for data management, privacy, and bias. You need to be making ethical decisions considering inclusion and diversity factors. You know, driving a car without road rules would be chaos, right? We want drivers prioritising safety for everyone on the road. Using AI without ethical reasoning is the same. Capability without responsibility is dangerous. So ethical AI use means leading with care, integrity, and accountability. So to summarise, the 4 competencies for using large language models well are understanding AI models, crafting effective prompts, evaluating responses, and ethical reasoning. But here's the thing. You can know this framework and still not build real capability. In the next episode, I'll unpack what actually accelerates growth. So come and join me next week. You've been listening to Trailblazing Schools with me, Trudy Graham. If this episode brought someone to mind, share it with them. You'll find further reflections, practical resources, and leadership tools in the show notes. Until next time, lead with courage, seek clarity, and keep trailblazing.